legitimate surprise exists right now for me. So I assumed that after the chapter when Celine squished Georg, that we were going to be moving into some transitionary chapters. Like we were going to get into some stuff like, Fairy Nail and whatnot, where it's going to be more fun, kind of just having some time for jokes and enjoyment before getting back to like the serious plot. No, last chapter then ended up continuing off of that, and then it ended with them just saying, "All right, we're gonna go to LF Sherry," and I was like, well, "Okay, maybe the extra stuff like there's gonna be some content in between this chapter and getting to LF series to kind of like build some time." Nope, Mishima said, "No, we're getting right to it. On top of that, let's get to these Black Dragon Slayer Knights," and I absolutely love their designs. Like these guys are really cool. So the one thing that I don't understand how people haven't gotten so far, and I'll get to that in a moment. But first off, the chapter starts out like we have just like the recap over everything that's been going on. Pretty nice right there. We just had just a couple moments just getting back to it. I was legitimately happy, so happy when there was the panel when they're talking about how wizard guilds of all kinds started just kind of like being formed and appearing at one point. And you had like the ones, like regular ones, obviously like Fairy Tail, you had like Sabretooth, Lamiska, Blue Pegasus, but then I'm like Grimoire, I see Grimoire art, and then I look over and I see, older ones like Phantom Lord, but also like the Erasion Sace, but then right next to, like the Fairy Tail one above Phantom Lord, very happy to see Tartaros just barely in there. I was actually ecstatic to see my favorite bad guy guild, well, my favorite villain bad guy guild, because right now, I feel like Diabolos has potential to overtake it, because like Mishima is really, he's really specific when it's like he'll have characters and then like ones he'll do like put backstory into and like flesh them out and make them really good, and then there's like ones unfortunately that are just there when you're like when you got to get to members of like the Spriggan, for example, and you see like Brandish or Irene or August, but then you have like Wall, who has no backstory whatsoever, Nineheart, who has no backstory whatsoever, whereas like even Invil has like the whole thing, like connection with Zeref and stuff, like his whole emotional connection and loyalty to Zeref and the mission. But beyond that, you have the main cast. Get right to it. So there's one thing I actually really wanted to take specific note of, just like a really quick moment. So when they get there, obviously the Ether Nano floating around in the area because of how thick it is, it looks like snow. And they comment on it again, oh, the Ether Nano here is so thick. I'm actually really curious if that's going to come into play right now, like within this next like couple fights, because the main cast, obviously like being around transcendent magic and like being in an area where like magic is much higher, it's like just a way higher quality and quantity, and as well as like Wendy's ability to like enchant stuff into other people, like is this like a whole scenario to where because of the Elantir stuff they're able just to utilize the environment way better, like they're just going to figure out a new method of gathering up Ether Nano and just getting more powerful from like the go. I don't know, either way, like I just thought that was something really interesting to kind of think about, because it's the Ether Nano in the area is definitely a like it might just be a scenery thing, it could be something important later on, who knows. But Natsu and obviously all of them are pretty happy to saying like hello to LF Sari. He seems a little bit shaken, and he's just like completely astonished that 2 of the 5 dragon gods have currently been defeated. You have Mercephobia defeated and his power like all dealt with, and then you had Alderaan like outright killed. I'm just gonna assume Alderaan is dead, because like I had my hopes maybe Alderaan isn't dead, because maybe he like turned into a little seedling and he escaped or something. But like after Celine kind of at least off of Celine's wording, I feel like it's enough just to say like, yeah, he's gone. Unless there's some reveal machine wants to bring him back as like a little seedling, I don't really know what he could do at this point, just because part of his power is because he built all of that up over time to become that big and strong. He spent a lot of time nourishing his body to make him a monster of a dragon. So I don't think that if he came back, I mean, he could have the same level of raw power. I don't know if he could have the same level of straight, I guess like raw power, like energy, like his magic and his dragon abilities, but not like raw physical strength. Probably not raw durability too. But we finally get some stuff on the whole tablet, like the big weird mural looking thing that Elisari has on his wall. And he's saying that he built this pretty much connected to him. Like this tablet is everything that kind of like tracks them, and that's an ID on him. And I feel like the thing in the center is the whole big reveal at the end. And during this. Like, he's saying like how every point in this 100 Years quest, like, no one's ever been able to really even deal with one, and now two have been defeated. And there's even, I didn't even really mention in this chapter, there's a lot of really sick stuff just in general lore-wise about Elefsera, or not Elefsera, Georg. And I want to go over my Georg take in, like, a full video, but I will say, like, after finding out the lore about him, like, because Elefsera is, like, when he starts talking about the guilds and saying, like, oh, Diabolos is like a famous wizard guild within the area, but, you know, they get in a little bit of a trouble, and they didn't exist that long ago. Essentially, Georg took up the 100 Years quest, and then went around finding survivor dragons and then killing and eating them, you know, gaining the title of Dragon Eater, obviously getting his Dragon Slayer magic and stuff. And at that point, he ended up forming the Diabolos Guild and, you know, getting all these other dragon slaying people around him. A very important aspect of that is the fact that this means, one, he's like telling other people about the 100 Years quest when he's not supposed to, so it's like breaking rules. And LSR is being a little weird about it, or he's like saying how she should null it out, but he's gonna make an exception. I don't know why he just doesn't do it at this point. Like, just say, like, who gives a shit? Who cares? Like, Selene is active. Who cares who knows about LFSR, or about the Dragon Gods? Two of them are done with. So you only have to deal with the three, and one of them is so powerful that it's like, what are you really gonna do? And she's out doing stuff. Good luck. But he's saying, like, he formed the Diabolos Guild. I gotta say, so when it comes to Georg, like, the whole theory of one of his powers being related to a phoenix and him regenerating, I will say I'm perfectly fine either direction. If he stays dead, he stays dead, and that's just, you know, a +1 to Selene's body count. If he comes back, as long as like, the way he comes back makes sense, if he's got some dragon slaying ability to do that, or if it's something to do with Kieran here, I would be perfectly fine with that. Making sense to me is what's more important, and it also brings back Georg to actually see him do stuff. Because legitimately, I love the panel so much when it shows, like, him with all of Diabolos, and I'm guessing this is going to be all of Diabolos, considering it showed members that we hadn't seen yet, even though we see them in this chapter. It showed them in the story, so if there's anybody else, they have to be new to, like, Diabolos. It would have to be, like, Georg's version of Blue Note, where he's just like this one high-end level dragon slayer, like absurdly above, like right in between him and the 4 black dragon slayer knights. Someone right snug in there that is that's like brand new or something, some weird character. But I love the panel with that, because you have like the Diabolos flag in the back. You know, obviously all the members all lined up on the sides, but Georg looks so cool with like his cloak all stretched out, and then like the weird, like, the kind of brush style put into it with like the wicked smile with his hair, and then you have the no pupils in his eyes. He looks like a monster. He actually looks like some form of nightmare creature, and I love that. That's why I'm kind of like, I would really like him to come back, especially, like, just as like a side note, I didn't really talk about it too much during like the chapter when Selene squished him. Some of the panels we got of Georg all look really cool, and I feel like just because it's because his like weird facial hair setup, and obviously the fact he's a really big guy and how those combo together, where he like the way that he looks from the side, his face is just like one big fucking disc. But obviously it's because like you're looking at the side of his like hair and beard that kind of circle together. Like, not, I guess, circle, but I mean, it comes like a big fang or something. Either way, man, I'm hoping that if he does come back, like, Mishima lets him do something. Like, I know a lot of people, like, had that whole thing, like, maybe he fights Guild Arts. That's perfect. You can bring him back literally just to lose against Guild Arts, and I'd be perfectly fine with it. I want to see this guy in action. I mean, plus, that's like a person that, out of anybody in the series, that, like, you'd be fine with getting a loss on. I don't know. But I do like that during the whole point where at one point he pretty much told Georg that he was like nulled out of the quest, but then he ended up pretty much leaving it alone, and he's even saying, like, even though you guys did the first part, I've decided to leave Diabolos into this and just let him keep doing it. Obviously Natsu's mad, Lucy's like saying it's a double standard, Gray's just like, You don't believe we can do it? We've already done 2. You know, there's very clear upset. Urza, though, I actually really liked Urza in this. Like, she had a really underrated moment, and it's not like the really cool, like, when she's being a badass and like with the whole like getting ready to threaten people who throw any form of shade and danger at their guild. I really liked Urza's response about Elefseria's decision to alter part of like the whole make of the quest, because he's like saying like we should respect the client's decision, because like at the end of the day, at the very core aspect of things, and you can think back to like back in the Daybreak a little bit, the very beginning of the series, the Fairy Tail Guild is being they're being tasked, they're contracted against this guy, and they're doing exactly a job for him. So not only that, you're doing it with your guild's name on the line doing this job. So they're not going to want to get any bad rep on the Fairy Tail Guild by getting a little too aggressive with the client, pretty much. Urza being a little bit different because she's looking a little bit more calm and like almost like a business standpoint towards Elefseria, but when it comes to obviously all of Diabolos, she's like, well, we're gonna have a problem then. Because like there is the fact that when they're all talking about like getting ready to hype up and like fight back if they can, and again, glad Lucy didn't have like a, oh man, Urza's kind of scary moment. It was like, no, yeah, let's fuck them up. They're not gonna mess with our guild. They're like getting themselves all riled up. And one thing Elefseria is like, well, isn't that gonna break the inner guild conflict ban treaty? But like Diabolos did really attack them first. Like Kyria definitely got out of hand, and it's funny when you think about it, because out of everyone in their guild, clearly Kyria is the quickest to fight without really thinking about it. Because like Natsu and stuff will fight, but think about the situation that they were in against Selene, and it's not like if Natsu's in this situation, and you can compare it to like when Natsu jumped at Selene at the start of right at the start of Elentier. It's not the same context. Natsu jumped up there because Selene hurt Ferris. With Kyria jumped up at Selene because she was like, oh, well, don't underestimate us, we're a dragon hunting guild, and went after him. So it didn't have anything to do with hurting my comrade. It was, well, let's just fight him. Natsu was aware that these characters are stronger than him. Kyria doesn't seem to have that whole humbling that Guild Arts had, gave Natsu. It actually kind of reminds me a bit like that, but not nearly as much. It's not nearly carrying as much of the weight of the caring about their guild. It's just way more of the combat side of things. Natsu is obviously like very, since the start of the series, cared a lot about the guild. So just two different kind of like contexts to them. Kyria's pretty much started the whole battle like between Diabolos and Fairy Tail, because like if she never did anything, like they would have been fine. Either way, Elefseria is like kind of like getting put in his place a little bit, and he does like a little joke where he shrinks down and hides again in Lucy's boobs. One thing about the upcoming fight I really want to see is seeing Elefseria. I want to see what he does, like what his dragon abilities are, like what exactly a law dragon does with his magic. But during that part, they're just kind of like getting ready to wrap up their general conversation, and he's like saying like, oh, this hour, Hikage comes to deliver me, just to come talk to me, and he's like saying he's doing me a favor. He's going to get me groceries, pretty much, and that's when the dude comes back and he's like bringing up it's an emergency, and it's this little talking crow who apparently Elefseria met at one point when he was traveling east to west, and the crow's like saying that there's intruders in the Great Labyrinth, and this is where a big thing comes down, and I'm gonna have to gloat a little bit at the end of this review. But when it comes to this whole thing, this is a thing again that I've been hyped up about the Dragon God. So when he gets there, side note. So I was looking at Twitter. I can't remember when I searched it up. I think I was looking for a picture that I posted, and I don't remember when or something. And I saw a post I made in January saying I was praying for Scoleon feats this year, and guess what? Scoleon didn't even get to be an Elentier at all. And guess who's there at this whole gonna be next part with the Black Dragon Slayer Knights? Kyria and Renwar there, so Scoleon's there. I want to see some Scoleon feats. I want to see more of Scoleon's magic. I really want to see Scoleon as a character more. Like he seems really cool so far. He's got cool magic. His design is cool. I like Diabolos. I've liked all of Diabolos. All of Diabolos' guild, I think, has been really cool. Even people like Nibaru, like he was really interesting. Wraith had a really good backstory. They've all been really fun. I've liked all of Diabolos so far, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like these guys. So that's also one of the reasons I want Georg to actually get some form of character. But I really want to get this going on. Madmel's cool. I like Kyria, but like I won't. My part of Kyria's story I'm only really interested in is like her next confrontation with Laxus, because I thought that was a really interesting plot twist for her to have a thing for Laxus, and it's like, where's that gonna go? But because one of the funny things about it is, like, personality-wise, Laxus and her are perfect for each other. Or I guess more perfect as, like, the idea of, like, matching the two types. You have this guy who's extremely powerful, but he, like, as he says, he's got a weak heart and stuff. But you have this girl who, can't cut weakness away from him, and because he's, like, so weak in a certain in a mindset of way. It's like a really weird thing, and then you realize how Laxus got there, and how Kyria kind of just acts. But like she's just somebody who can get completely humbled by Laxus, so it just clicks really well for her character. And I think it's Mishima's best chance for it, because I know some people like ship him with Mira. I don't think there's really anything there from what we've been shown, so we might as well go to like, I think a newer character that actually fits him would be better. But the one out of all of Diabolos, probably out of all of Diabolos right now, I want to get backstory wise and get to see more of is Skolnion, because the other guys, Suzaku's story has been really good. I've liked Suzaku. I think he's been the best new character in 100 Years Quest. He's got the best total story, because he showed up every single chapter he's been in. We found out more about him, and we've been seeing more of the repercussions of his actions in the story, obviously leading to his master's death, and now being completely told what to do by his killer. So Suzaku's had a really good story arc so far, and I'm hoping Mishima just doesn't confine it to that. We see more of it. I think so, because it seems like he likes Suzaku, at least from what I can tell, from like just how he, like, personality-wise, he clearly gave him a ongoing character, because we even see a little bit in this chapter, a little bit of Suzaku. So, like, first off, we are told from the little crow, what's his name, Hikage, that Diabolos is at the Great Labyrinth, and they're all there. All the Black Dragon Slayer Knights are. So really, if you were to go against their guild, this is like their elite force, and their other, like, most of their other kind of regular guys. The only person missing would be Georg, and I know Nibaru. Nibaru's strong. The bigger one I would say is Wraith, because when you think about how scary Wraith is in verse, you're not going to know he's there unless you're a Dragon Slayer. If you're not a Dragon Slayer, you have no idea he's there. Unless you're somebody like Jacob, where you can see spirits. So something like that I can see going around it. But otherwise, no idea when he's there, and he just rips the soul out of your body. Be terrifying. But besides that, I've liked all Diabolos, and I want to see more of them. Suzaku's been great. The three new characters, I want to get to them real quick. So, the Azure Dragon, Misaki, she seems cool. I like her design. I'm very curious of exactly what her attribute's going to be. I keep looking at her crown, because somebody said something about one of the Black Dragon Slayer Knights being an Ice Dragon Slayer and fighting Gray, and I was like, please no. Please don't do that. That was one of the really funny things to me, because like I saw her the crown, and I immediately thought like snowflake shaped, and I'm like, oh Lord, please Mishima, don't do it. And she's wearing gloves, so I don't really know. I don't think so. I hope not. We don't need to have Gray have another ice fight. He doesn't need it. He's fine. He's fought tons of ice users and demonstrated that he's going to win pretty much any ice battle. But her design's really cool. I like her braids. I like the military kind of style to her. I think she just looks generally really cool. The little kid is the funniest one here, and I'm gonna tell you what. So the funniest thing about this fucking kid is that one of the earliest theories about Diabolos, because when we first got them, you know, they were obviously kind of like specific main cast matchups, like Urza to Kyria. You had Mad Mole going against Natsu, and then Gray with Skolnion. And there was like a joke that that one day we were gonna get a little boy Dragon Slayer, and that was gonna be Wendy's rival, and Mishima ended up doing it, and I found that to be hilarious in a really like odd theory kind of way, because it's somewhere when my last theory on on Toka, on the reveal of Toka, and like who exactly the character specifically Toka was. Not later we found out was Ferret, because there was still like when the character was just Toka, and then we found out it was two characters entirely, and we found out one is Ferris, one is Toka. But the last thing I really had about Toka was I made a joke about like if she was an Exceed, because what if she actually thought Happy was Natsu, and then like the whole part about like how he came in riding a fire dragon, and because of the way that it looks like Happy is on Natsu's back as like a fire dragon slayer. I made that as like a 5-second last thing, and that's more of a funny one, and also kind of like my Suzaku one, where, well, no, that one's not as funny. That was just last second. Where am I going with that one? The whole aspect of the little powerful Dragon Slayer kid is hilarious. I think of just really how powerful he is, because he's at least as strong as Suzaku. So he, at his most powerful, would defeat human form Selene. So this little fucker is stronger than Laxus. This little dude right now is stronger than current Laxus. We don't know, like, really how strong, but logically speaking, he's on par with Suzaku, the guy who just beat human form Selene. Obviously, Selene could have just went into her dragon form if she really wanted to win, but he's more powerful than her human form Selene, who messed with the moon, who messed with the planet in another dimension. This kid, at his most powerful, should be able to defeat her. I think that's just hilarious. But anyway, his design is the white tiger dragon. I think that's going to be cool. I think he's going to look... I feel like he, instead of being like a silly character... Because one thing I wanted to mention, it's weird that people don't understand this. Mishima always has a silly character in a collective group. Look at the Seven Kin, you had Kane. In the original Diablo trios, you had Mad Bull. With its Brigand 12, you have Jacob. With the 9 Demon Gates, you had Franmoth. With the Erasion Sace, you had Hot Eye. All of Mishima's bad guy groups, even looking over Eden Zero, look at Rave Master 2. He always has one character that's a little silly. Doesn't mean he's weak, but he's gonna be a little silly. Look at however his name is pronounced, Wosuke, or whatever, the flag dude from the Hunger Wolf Knights. He's another one, and he was powerful at his level. He wasn't like the most powerful character, but he was known in general areas. He's actually was pretty strong for like an average wizard. Like Mishima has always had a silly guy like that in the group, so it's nothing new. And on top of that, I don't think his character is gonna be like goofy entirely. I think that he's like a prodigy. I feel like this is like meeting a child August. Somebody who's just absurdly powerful at a young age for no fucking reason for his own. Obviously, August had a backstory reason, but it's like, why is this kid so damn powerful? I think he's going to be cool. I actually really like the white tiger dragon. I think that's going to be sick. That's pretty much what the last dragon that was coming out of the Eclipse Gate before they closed it, before the Zodiac closed it up. Actually, I'm gonna talk about that. That's an idea right there. But the last guy is really cool. So this dude, Kieran, the yellow dragon. One thing I wanted to note is that in his silhouette, you don't see his coffin. So that's something I think that's new to his character. Because at first I thought it was like, well, maybe he didn't have it at the time, or that's just like something that's brand new. And I was like trying to think about it because I couldn't see the cat kid. And then I zoomed in, like, oh, he's right there next to Kieran and Misaki. He's like right next to, on the same side as Scoleon, Madmol, and Wraith. But he looks really cool, but he doesn't have it in the silhouette. So at that time, when it's pretty much all the guild, he didn't have it. So I'm wondering who's in there. Is he a necromancer dragon? I don't know. The yellow dragon would be odd if he's a necromancer, in the color yellow. Who knows what Mishima could do. But he maybe, question mark, who's in there? Could be Georg. I don't know. I'm actually really hoping it is. I would be perfectly fine if Georg could get regen through one of his powers, if the whole Phoenix Dragon thing, part of the 4 Beasts, is true. I'd be very happy to see that. But we'll see. This guy, though, looks really sick. This guy looks so cool. His coat looks great. He's got these sick, like, leopard, like, giraffe kind of pants. His sick, like, hat. He's got a monocle. He's got cool facial hair. The dude just looks badass. I like this guy a lot. Honestly, like, I feel like he's got... Him and Suzaku, it's really hard for me to say who's got the coolest design of them. I like all their designs a lot. I think they all look really fun without being, like, too crazy. I think all these guys have pretty good assurance of being cool. So, please, Mishima, suitcase, or not suitcase, coffin, BQ, or get him out here. Otherwise, I expect this dude to be a Necromancer Dragon Slayer, and I want to see how it goes. It's kind of weird that, like, Diabolos had a Corpse Dragon Slayer. They had a Spirit Dragon Slayer, and now they've got potentially a Necromancer. They've got these spooky undead ones, like 100%. I wonder if there's specific reasons why they have this, or they're just like very, or if it's something to do with like the Dragon Age. Because logically, that kid might be the same as the White Tiger Dragon that almost came out of the Eclipse Gate. But the dude seems to be fine with it. He's just like saying how, he's fine with Selene making a humans pretty much dominant world. Well, humans only world, like a world just for them again. No dragons, none of that like nonsense. At least to their side, they're just like, okay, cool, let's go with it. And Haku seems to think that Selene's really cool, and Misaki's just like, yeah, it's not so bad. Like, they're pretty much just like, oh shit, yeah, the boss is dead. We got a new person in charge. Like, we're fine. But Suzaku's like the one again. Mishima is clearly doing something with him, and I want to see like a little bit further to know beforehand before we kind of like really see where this character is going to get directed. Because they're all talking, they seem fine. Suzaku's silent. He's just like very stern about it. He doesn't really know what's going on. Overall, I don't think he trusts Selene, and obviously he is upset that he got his own master killed. Because the difference between the other ones and Suzaku, Suzaku cares about his guild. He likes the people in his guild, and he just got his master killed because he fell for a trap. It's clearly something that he's getting bothered by, and I really want to see what Mishima is going to do with him. But then after that point, Urza's like, what's in the Great Labyrinth, and Eleftheria is like, that's where the 6th of the 5 dragon gods slumbers. So here's the thing people got to know before like anybody kind of like wonders why there's 6 and a 5. I mean, think about like the Erasion 6 at when we hit technically 8 in a 6. But think about it like this. So the whole idea, I did a video on this, so I'm pretty happy to flex, because it looks like then it leads into a double success theory, which is going to be great. But the thing about the dragon gods is the dragon gods are designed after the 7 luminary days. And you had the wood day, the moon day, fire day, water day, and gold day. Gold day being Friday, which is also what Viernes is. Like Viernes meaning Friday, and obviously being the golden day. Selene being the moon dragon. It's something that's been set up. The 2 missing are the Sunday, which is literally S-U-N, like the sun, and the Earth Day. So this is going to be, what I would assume is going to be the Earth Dragon God. And that just leaves the missing Sunday. If Mishima is going to have him, like, kind of play later on in the story, then he's going to have to probably leave. Because, like, most of the guys here are probably, are here to kill him. The majority of the people here are going to kill him. And the main cast, the thing about the main cast and then Diabolos is Diabolos has so many more numbers. Because, like, Fairy Tail doesn't even have enough people right now to fight. They don't even have enough people to fight, like, the Black Dragon Slayer Knights by themselves. And then you have Scolion, Mad Mole, and Kyria there. Because I don't really know what they're going to be able to do at full power, maybe. Because I do think Natsu should, I think, should be able to beat Suzaku, or at least match him with Dragon Force. Whereas Natsu's the strongest character in the main cast. I don't know about, like, a lot of the other members. Like, what are you going to have Gray fight this other chick, or Kieran? I don't think it's going to work right now. They all have to get way more powerful, or else they're going to suddenly have become... Well, they did have their boost, but I don't really know if their boost is going to jump shot them that high, because it seemed to wear off. But I would imagine like some form of actual like strength increase from just that experience. But definitely not high enough to like fight these guys all 1v1. Elisari is there. Maybe we can get Elisari teamed up with some people. I don't know. Maybe we can have someone show up. Mishima did say that Guildarts and Sting and Rogue are going to come back in the story. Maybe they could show up. Sting and Rogue together still are pretty strong. Sting and Rogue beat Larcade. And I know Kagura helped a tiny bit, but Sting and Rogue together, like their power combined, because you think Sting and Rogue can probably... Sting and Rogue, I think they could put up a good fight. We don't know how powerful they are since like a year later. But them together, I think, could definitely like clap most of the main Diabolos. Like Mad Mole and Kyria, they should be fine. Maybe they fight Scoleon. I don't know if Bray wants revenge. But they can definitely fight like a good amount. And then if Guildarts comes in, Guildarts is a force of his own to see where Mishima wants to put him. A year later, Guildarts could be even stronger. And Guildarts' magic is so busted, and he already fights kind of like he already fights like a Dragon Slayer is the thing. Because like when you think about it, one of the things about Dragon Slayers in the story, and I gotta wrap this up because it's getting long, but Guildarts is similar in the fact that he's not a caster. He's just, his magic is really strong, and it's potent, and it's broken, but he at his core is just a heavy fucking hitter who just bashes into people and just smashes their attacks and just ultimately like just collides his fist into their face. Like that's just the fundamental like way Guildarts is. He's like a Dragon Slayer. It's kind of like Jura. Jura's a little bit like that too. But anyway, other than that, comment below. That's a long rant on just something I wanted to add in there at the end. Comment below, thumbs up the video, and thanks to anyone who stayed this long. I had a lot to say about this chapter, so I knew this was going to be a long one, because this is one I really wanted to talk about, just because of all the different lore and the different pieces moving along, and a small flex on how happy I was to see that, oh yeah, look, there is more Dragon Gods coming technically. So, also one final thing. I'm guessing the reason why he calls it the 5 Dragon Gods is he wasn't counting the 6, because the 6th one is sealed, and maybe that's why he says seal them instead of slay them, because he doesn't think anybody could actually kill them. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, friend, like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. And other than that, thanks everyone for listening. And everybody's already subscribed.